Good morning, good morning. I'm Devin Albertson. This is the College Football Division One show. I do a couple of these a week. Of course, I have this one on Mondays as well as NFL, the NFL on Tuesdays, Division Two football on Wednesdays, and then the Missouri eight-man football on Thursdays. What I have up right now is the map done by Reddit.com and some of the users on there. Closest football stadium to every county. I think it's kind of interesting to see what that looks like. Also, what they have done is done it throughout the year. So, say Florida, Michigan beat Florida earlier this year, so they get their territory. Then Michigan State beat Michigan, so now Michigan State has a territory that Florida owned at the beginning of the year. As you see, Iowa State now owns what Oklahoma owned before them, and so forth. LSU had territory, then Troy beat them, so now Troy took some of their territory. Then LSU beat Florida, took their territory, and stuff like that. So it keeps going back and forth. You see Washington State has good territory out west. Penn State has quite a bit after beating Iowa. Ohio State has some up north, beating Minnesota. Just stuff like that. It's kind of interesting to see what everybody owns around the nation after 6 weeks. So it's kind of a mess, but we'll see how that keeps moving. Also, same poll did a thing for the AP top 25, so I thought that was kind of cool. Sorry, let's see where it's at. There it is. Here it has the closest team to every, in the AP poll, closest to every county. Thought that was kind of interesting there. So you see Washington State has a big territory out west because of all the western schools and stuff like that. So I just think this was kind of interesting to start the show with to see where everybody is at. But now we will get down to business for the real stuff. I'm Devin Albertson. Follow me on Twitter at Devin Albertson. Right down here, I can't even point to it right. Here we go. There it is. So talking Division One football right now. Of course, Alabama and Clemson, number 1 and 2 right now. I'd probably give a vote for Clemson number 1 if it was me, if I had a vote. I think Clemson's really good this year. That's probably the most impressive set of wins for defending national champions, to be number 2 in the polls. A lot of respect to Nick Saban and Alabama right now for that. Penn State finally gets number 3, Georgia 4, Washington 5. So you look at the top 5 there. Look at the rest of the top 10. Auburn finally sneaks into the top 10. So you have 3 SEC schools in the top 10, as well as 3 from the Big Ten. Only 1 from the ACC with Miami right there at 11. A couple of teams from the Pac-12 with Washington and Washington State. The Apple Cup should be interesting this year. And then you have TCU for the Big 12 as Oklahoma State and Oklahoma both lost games earlier this year. Oklahoma State 2, TCU and Oklahoma this past week at home to Iowa State. A bad loss there for the Sooners. If you look at all these teams right now, the one-loss teams that interest me a little bit. The top 5 right now in the polls: Ohio State, Auburn, Oklahoma, USC, Oklahoma State. I think Auburn and USC are the best 2 of those schools, of those teams right now. If you look at their best losses, I know Ohio State lost to Oklahoma, still not a bad loss. USC lost at Washington State. That's a pretty good loss. And Auburn lost to Clemson earlier this year. Can't remember if it was at home or on the road. That's also a good loss for Auburn. So we'll see what happens with those schools right now. So as we got for top 25, you see down at the bottom, Texas Tech and Navy have snuck in this week along with Stanford. Central Florida's in. Michigan State is now in the poll for the first time this year. San Diego State in top 20 now, along with South Florida. Michigan fell a long ways, as did Oklahoma. So we'll see how this thing shapes up throughout the year. And now we'll go to the first game of the week, Texas Tech at West Virginia. If you look at these two schools, it should be interesting to see how they match up this year with each other. Texas Tech, of course, that offense is always interesting. At 11 o'clock kickoff for that game. Let me go. Okay, one second. Before I do these picks real quick, let me go Week 5 reactions. The Big 12 is now relying heavily on TCU to go undefeated and get a playoff bid. So that's always kind of interesting to see what's going to happen there with TCU. Miami got a big win at Florida State by 4 points, a big win for the U. They've really struggled this past few years against Florida State, so them to get that win was big for them. And of course, Alabama survives Texas A&M, beat them by 8 points on the road, so that's interesting. Major upsets, there were 4 of them this week. Number 24, NC State beats number 17, Louisville, by 14 points. That surprised me, so NC State looking good this year. Louisville dropped out of the top 25 with another loss. Iowa State wins at number 3 Oklahoma, probably the biggest upset of the weekend, 38-31. Oklahoma, it's really going to hurt their playoff chances. It really, I know they won at Ohio State, but losing to Iowa State at home, that's going to put a big damper on your playoff hopes. They're going to win out and win the Big 12, the regular season, and postseason. Going to beat TCU and Oklahoma State now, probably K-State as well. Makes it that much tougher in Oklahoma now. Michigan loses to Michigan State in the Big House, 14-10. Big win for Sparty. Michigan. Harbaugh, you got to beat the big dogs in Michigan State and Ohio State to contend the Big Ten. They hasn't been able to do that so far at Michigan, so we'll see what happens the rest of this year. I do like Michigan still. I think they're going to lose to Penn State but beat Ohio State and finish second in that division. So that's what I have there. And then LSU wins in the swamp over Florida's number 21 in the nation, 17-16. Florida makes no sense. LSU makes no sense. How do you go from getting stomped by Mississippi State, losing to Troy at home, and then going to Florida and winning? It makes no sense. Coach O is doing weird things down there in LSU. So we'll see how that works. Okay, last week my picks, I was 3-2 straight up and against the spread. I took Louisville minus 3.5 over NC State. That was dead wrong. I also took Florida minus 4 over LSU. I thought that was an easy one. I was dead wrong, but 3 I got it correct. TCU to beat West Virginia, but West Virginia to cover the 13.5 point spread. So I was right there with West Virginia only losing by 7. I took Miami minus 1 over Florida State. They won by 4. That was a good call. And I picked Washington State minus 2 over Oregon. They won by 13. I think over 23. Either way, they covered. I think it was 33-10. So they covered easily over Oregon. So 3-2 week, pretty good there for me. Now we'll go to the picks for this week. Texas Tech at West Virginia. West Virginia back-to-back tough games. I'll take Texas Tech plus 7. They're actually getting 7 points here against West Virginia. So I will take Texas Tech plus 7 and for Texas Tech to win straight up. I think the Red Raiders are really good this year. Really young last year. Really matured a lot. So I think Texas Tech gets the win at West Virginia in this one. Next game here. 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Auburn at LSU. Auburn number 10 in the nation. I will take the Tigers of Auburn in this one. These both teams are both Tigers. Auburn's a 6.5 point favorite. I'll take them and the points, and they win by more than a touchdown. Auburn's that good right now. So that's what I got for you in that game. Right there. Number 3, Georgia Tech at Miami. 2:30 kickoff as well on ABC, it looks like. Georgia Tech at number 11, Miami. I'll take Georgia Tech plus 9.5, but Miami to win straight up. I think Miami's a really good team, but Georgia Tech, that triple option can present some problems for Miami. So I think Miami wins the game, but it's close. And they win by a touchdown or so, which is enough to cover that 9.5 point spread. Next game, I'm probably going to butcher how to say this. The Red River rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma. So we'll see what happens with this one. Texas, I'm thinking plus 9.5. 9.5, too many points to give Oklahoma at this point. The game on ESPN at 2:30. They're on Saturday. I think Oklahoma wins the game, but Texas playing really well right now. 9.5, too much to give to the Longhorns. Oklahoma wins by a field goal in this one. And Texas has weird things. They play Oklahoma and can beat them. So if Oklahoma loses this game, they're out of the playoff race. So they're playing desperate so far. And Texas, they just want to upset Oklahoma like they do every year. So I think Oklahoma wins, but it's close. So Texas plus 9.5 in that one. In the last game, out west, Utah at number 13, USC. Utah was ranked briefly there before losing to Stanford. USC is an 11-point favorite here at home. I'm taking Utah plus 11, but USC to win. I think Utah matches up well with USC, that running game. I think they can slow it down a little bit, but same thing will be too much there at the end. USC gets the win, but Utah keeps it close in this one. I think I saw that Utah held Bryce Love to 153 yards, which is impressive. 152 yards this year, which is one of the best jobs they've done against Bryce Love all year. Them and USC are actually the best two teams to face Bryce Love this year. They're both holding him under 200 yards. I mean, it's that good right now for those teams. So I think Utah keeps it close, but USC wins by 7 to 10 points. That should be enough to cover there for Utah. All right, so that's what we got for the picks this week. As a review it real quick, taking Texas Tech plus 7 and straight up versus West Virginia. I'm taking Auburn minus 6.5. over LSU. Miami, I'm taking them to win, but Georgia Tech to cover the 9.5 points. I am picking Oklahoma to win, but Texas to cover the 9.5 points in that one as well. Yes, and then I will take USC to win, but Utah to cover the 11 points. That's what I got in that one. Now we'll go to the Heisman watch here for me. Saquon Barkley has moved to number one. 649 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, 6.5 yards per carry, and he also has 395 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns, 13.5 yards per catch. A dynamic player for Penn State, almost 8 yards per touch this season at 7.97 yards. He had 305 yards from scrimmage against Iowa a few weeks ago. Quite the past few weeks versus Indiana and Northwestern, besides the passing touchdown versus the Hoosiers. He's got a big game versus Michigan in a couple of weeks. Got a bye this Saturday, so no Saquon Barkley this weekend. So we will see him in a couple weeks versus Michigan. Should be at home in Happy Valley, though, so we'll see how he does that week versus a good run defense. Up next, Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma. 1,635 yards this year, 15 touchdowns, still no interceptions. Quarterback rating of 214. Signature win at Ohio State, but that big loss at home to Iowa State. It is a big game this weekend in their game versus Texas, a loss. Might end his Heisman race if they lose this Saturday. So we'll see what happens there with Baker Mayfield. I think he's really good. I think he's dynamic. But Oklahoma's got to fix their defense a little bit there if they're going to beat Texas in that game. I think they do beat Texas, and he has a big game, so he'll stay up there in the top 3 of my Heisman watch. Mason Rudolph, I know he lost to TCU, but he had a bye this last week. Has Baylor this week, expect some big numbers. He's up there in passing yards and passing touchdowns before his bye week. 1,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, QB rating of 186. A couple Oklahoma schools there in the top 5 when it comes to Heisman race with their quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, number 4, I think he's going to stay up there. 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 picks, QB rating of 143. Interceptions are still a concern, but he's the best prospect going in from college to the NFL. That's why he's going to be up there for me. He had an underwhelming performance at Washington State in their only loss, but that's not a bad loss losing up at Washington State. If they win the Pac-12, I think he has a great shot of winning the award. A huge game on ABC this week versus Utah. We'll see how he does whenever Utah slows down that running game, if he can bring and pull USC through here. Number 5, Bryce Love for Stanford. As I said earlier, 1,240 yards and 9 touchdowns, 10.5 yards per carry. Right now, home run hitter for Stanford. Just look at his wins right now. In the win over UCLA, he had 263 yards. Versus Arizona State, he had 301 yards rushing. So his games this year through, 6 games? 180, 160, 184, 263, 301, and 152. Leads the FBS in rushing yards. Plays Oregon this Saturday. Get a big game there as well versus the Ducks. We're also Royce Freeman plays in that game, another good running back for Oregon. So we'll see what happens there. I really like Bryce Love right now. I don't know if Stanford will have enough wins by the end of the year for him to be relevant enough to get it, but we'll see. Best running back might be right now with him and Saquon Barkley in college football. Number 6, Luke Falk, his first appearance in the Heisman Watch. 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, QB rating of 158. Signature win versus USC, plays Cal this Friday night. Came up the list as Washington State keeps winning as he puts up big numbers. Luke Falk definitely having a good year there for Coach Leach up there in Washington, so we'll see what happens. A guy that's not on my list right now, though, is Jake Browning for Washington. So we'll see if he can break this list here soon. But number 7, Lamar Jackson. Keep him in the rankings because he is still the most exciting player in college football, but he will not have enough team success to actually win the award. He's just so much fun to watch. 1,990 yards this year passing, 14 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, QB rating of 154. 510 yards on the ground with 7 touchdowns. Just the most exciting player to watch, but primetime loss to NC State by double digits through a pick 6 at the end of the game. It's just hard for him to win this award right now. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I'll go through my picks one more time. Of course, last week I was 3-2 against the picks. This week, My face back up here. Hoping to go 5-0, but we'll see what happens. I got Texas Tech +7 and straight up over West Virginia. I have Auburn here in this one. I had them -6.5 to beat LSU. I have Georgia Tech +9.5, Miami to win straight up in this Georgia Tech Miami game. We look at here, Oklahoma at Texas in the Red River rivalry. I have Texas +9.5 at Ohio, but Oklahoma to win straight up. And then the final game, Utah +11, but USC to win the game there. So that's what I got for you guys this week. Thank you for tuning in. I'm putting this on YouTube now, so everybody have a great rest of your day as I'm going to YouTube for the rest of this show. So check me out on YouTube. I think it's Devin Alberts on YouTube. I can't remember what I say my YouTube channel as. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning on Facebook Live as I'll be talking about the NFL and the crazy weekend that happened there. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys later.